Hello everyone, hopefully no Editor 357 here, professional self-loather and visual novel reviewer here, and we're here with part 2 to the playthrough of my playthrough of the Netghost demo. Like I said in my first part, the Kickstarter for this visual novel is currently going on. If this looks semi-interesting to you, I highly recommend donating to it. I'm probably going to myself after I record this playthrough or later in the day. But yeah, I'll leave a link to the Kickstarter and their website and a few other things in the description, and of course my social media. But that's always been there. So, but without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. So I think where we left off last time, we were back at his apartment. Yeah, okay. It was time to sit on the uncomfortable chair that I'd had to learn to be comfortable in, and perform the exact same safety check that I'd done on my computer at the office. Make sure no one saw my homework folder. I didn't think at the time that anyone could have snuck into my apartment, but I did it anyways. Hardware? Nothing suspicious. Software? Fine. For the first time today since I learned of the leak, I could take a small breath and let go of some of the tension. There was nothing more I could do for the situation at work at the present moment, so I booted up Honey Pop and had a great time instead. It was time. Oh, I think that's a typo. It was time to check on my emails. It was time to check on my emails. Oh, SkyMail. Everything was more or less as I left it. I think I get to click this logo. Yeah, let's go. All right. We got a lot going on here. Can I wait? This is me. Reply sent. YouTube. You just confirmed your email address and your account on youtube.com. We wish you happy video browsing on hundreds of different and unique topics that can be found on our site. And then we'll eventually turn it into trash by trying to force you to get premium and showering you with ads if you don't. Will you subscribe to Penny Mice's open source projects, Zyhorn Firewall? We check out other open source projects on SourceBucket. Hello, Ian. You are getting this email because you were subscribed to the Zyhorn Firewall project on SourceBucket.com. Release notifications. Firewall project owner fixes 7 minor bugs, 3 critical exploits, and the original scratch. For full patch notes, see the release page. Click here to view the Zyhorn Firewall project page. This is an automated response. Please do not respond to this email. Doesn't actually do anything. Okay. I'm not like necessarily interested in these extra emails, but unless watch lists are gonna like come into relevancy later. But I do really like the details that the first time you're opening up the emails, it's not like the one at the top, which I'm assuming I'm going to respond to. Like that's the only one there. Like the creator went through the effort of putting in other emails to show that he has a life and stuff and gets emails from other places. I think it's cool. I don't think these necessarily mean anything, which is why I wasn't reading them out loud, but I do like it. Canted. Your profile on Canted was linked to this email. You will be receiving email updates on all anonymous conversations you are subscribed to on our app from now on. Remember, you're absolutely anonymous on our app, and your free speech is protected. Come on, join the conversation. Let everyone understand your thought process. By joining the Canted community, you agree that ads that sustain our site and make it viable and profitable may be tailored specifically to you, anonymously. This email is automatic. Please do not reply to it. Don't tell me what to freaking do. I can't reply to it. It's a shame. Alright, but here's the one we were supposed to be looking at. Mike, oh, his last name's Millen. I don't remember if we heard his last name before. Alright, Zyhorn update needs your attention. Hey Ian, Zyhorn's firewall new update patches 3 critical unreleased exploits. Need to patch the exploits in our own code framework. Take a look at it. Regards, Mike. Can I respond? Oh, reply. Oh, maybe I could reply to the other ones. I'll have to check in a sec. Yeah, I know. I watched that project too. I'll work on it. Okay. Reply sent. Cool. What about these? Can I... Yeah, there's no replying to those. Okay. But yeah, that is... I wonder, is there stuff in their sent mail? Drafts? I think right now we only have access to the inbox. It's probably smart to say it that way. Back. Here we go. Alright. Everything was more or less as I'd left it. Mike had sent an email about work, which I could reply to if I wanted. A couple of days ago, I cleaned up my inbox, deleting hundreds of unread and read emails. I regretted deleting them, though, since it is my written history, one way or another. On the upside, the empty inbox looked somewhat like a clean slate for me, so that was refreshing, and that refreshment did not last long, because now I have to find out who leaked our code. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like when my Gmail, inbox gets too full, I have to like delete a bunch of stuff. But I'm always like so picky about what I want to delete and not. It like makes me wonder if I should just like upgrade and pay like it's like a relatively small price for like a ridiculous amount of storage. But I refuse. I'm gonna be as cheap as possible. That's why I've given up eating. You know how expensive food is? After glancing at my emails, it was time to start taking the planned precautions. I started transferring documents and files such as work logs, notes and history of the encrypted versions, and patches into 2 identical sticks. Branch sticks, not like USBs. The first stick was going to stay here in my home. I needed these files to be stored someplace away from my computer. You never knew what could befall your machine, I guess. Sentience. Gotta hate it. The second stick I was to give to someone I trusted for safekeeping. I knew exactly who it was going to be. Not the janitor. As the transferring process began, I could lay back and relax, or try to. I didn't have much time to spend in my apartment. I had somewhere to be in a couple of hours. The window was open, a gentle, welcome summer breeze flowing into the room. The scent of chlorine and cleaning products was strong, pervasive, and made my nostrils twitch. It wouldn't seem to go away even with the window open wide. Every inch of this place was thoroughly scrubbed clean, every day. The nurse had recognized and greeted me earlier. We had a short talk, and she let me through. The nurse is the hacker, the leaker. I'm just gonna say everyone's the leaker. But yeah, I guess now we're visiting his little sister. I didn't see her in her bed. Somehow a small smile managed to find its way to my lips. Vivi, I called out. Are you hiding again? Hi! Vivi popped in front of me out of nowhere. I had a heart attack. I died. The end. She must have been hiding behind the door to surprise me. I had to encourage the naughty little game she liked to play. It was one of the few joys she had in this place. When she smiled, I smiled. Hey, I said, where were you hiding this time? That's a secret, big brother. I like the sheriff logo on her hoodie. She's the sheriff of the hospital. She suddenly hugged me. I put my hand on her hood and held her head on my chest. It warmed my heart to see her still smiling, still lively. I let go of the hug. Oh, okay, I think the quote was meant, I think there's just an extra quote at the beginning of I let go of the hug. Are you feeling fine? I'm okay. Leg is better. I take the injections now. Ugh. But the pain's better, right? I asked. Yep, sure is. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, mad props to people who do have to take, like, medicine, like, injections and stuff like that and do it themselves. Like, I freaking hate getting any shots, so I just don't think I can do it. I felt a weight being lifted off my chest. My sister had been afflicted by chronic pain on her leg's bones for years now. It was mild at first, but getting worse and worse every year, and always unrelenting. So, can't I go home? She knew she couldn't go home. I was about to say, I don't think I think that's a no. This was something we both had to learn to live with. My sister had been trapped in a hospital room for years. She attended school classes through a monitor, her laptop, and could barely leave hospital grounds because of the stiffness in her leg. It seemed like a miracle to me how, despite all that, she could stay positive, that she could still smile. She was even more positive than I was. I hated having to tell her no. I'm sorry, that's not possible yet, I managed to say. You still need your physiotherapy, and the doctors are always near you here, in case of an emergency or the symptoms progressing. It started from the bones of her foot and worked its way up to her kneecap, but it had stopped there for a good long while. Physiotherapy had only stalled the pain, and the injections were just a local anesthetic, means to manage the problem and not cure it, in other words. She seemed dejected only momentarily. She probably already knew the truth from the nurse. That's all right, she said. She understood. I covered my mouth, looked out the window. A heavy knot weighed down my throat, and my eyes burned. I hope she wouldn't notice. Funny how she's the stronger one, I thought, looking at her smile. Yeah, I bet you couldn't take anesthetic injections, big bro. That's why I had to do my best at work. I had to provide Vivi with everything she could conceivably need. I had to find every possible way to make her life more bearable. She filled my life with meaning. So, like, is the disease potentially going to spread to the rest of her body? Because if so, that's a whole bunch of not good. We need to get a cure for that. As if she was reading my thoughts, she said, "How's work going?" "It's good," I said plainly, avoiding her eyes. "You know, I've been tasked with finding a leaker, and if I lose my job, we lose our security, we won't be able to pay for your hospital treatment, and life will become a living hell for the both of us, but I mean, like, it's pretty good." "Why can't you ever tell me more about it?" she pouted. "Do you really want to hear about the intricacies of code? I imagine it's not exciting. I'm not trying to be mean to all you out there who are into code. I love you for it. It's just not for me." "What's there to tell?" I chuckled. I go in, type some crap on the computer, and I get out. I didn't wish to talk about work with my sister, especially after the recent happenings. There was absolutely no reason to worry her with any of my problems. "Aw," she said, "just wanted to hear a bit more about my genius bro." I chuckled again, a bit embarrassed. Really, there's not much to it. Speaking of work, hey listen, could you do something for me? So she's obviously going to be the one we give the hard drive to. I feel like that's potentially putting her in danger, like if the leaker finds out that he's coming after them and somehow finds out that like his sister has that drive. I don't know, I'm probably reading way too much into it. Of course, anything. What is it? I took the stick with my work files out of my pocket and gave it to her. Here, keep it somewhere safe. What's this? So much homework. So much homework. Some of my work files. Just hold on to them. Ooh, may I look inside? I shrugged. Be my guest. You won't understand a thing, though. Don't underestimate me, she teased me, and I laughed. I'll have you working beside me in a few years, I said, half jokingly, half filled with hope. Seriously, work sucks. Please take my job from me, sister, please. My sister movement may have been impaired, but if I could teach her to code, she could find a job to busy herself with, even in the environment such as the hospital. But I didn't really want to burden her with all that when her leg pain was prevalent. Perhaps sometime in the future. All right, I said, with somewhat renewed vigor. Time I was going. Aw, Vivi said, can't you stay a bit longer? It's getting late and I have some work to do, I said apologetically. On the weekend, maybe I'll have more time. I promise I'll stay longer then. Okay, she smiled. See ya. Be well. I'll get the nurse to get you some ice cream. Yay, love you, bro. And that's the real reason she has her brother come over to the hospital to get her ice cream. She actually doesn't love him. My visit to my sister had eased my mind just a tiny bit. It was so nice to see her smile that I'd almost forgotten the troubles of my work that were eating away at me. Ah, new Sky Mail. Thoughts of those troubles returned the very moment I stepped into my apartment. Cassia. Did you see that new anime, Angels Don't Die? The main character is so cute, to be honest, but the dub they did for TV sucks. Anyway, sweet dreams, bro. Cassia. Was one of the characters we met at the office Cassia? I genuinely can't remember, so I'll reply to this. I gotta talk about anime while I'm trying to figure out, how to not lose my job. No, I didn't see that yet. I don't have time to keep up with anime these days. I'll check it out when I can, though. Sweet dreams to you too. Too busy rewatching High School DxD. Watch respond to that be what sends me to a bad ending. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, I'll save here. I did not mean to press that button, but it's a good idea. Stepped into my apartment. It was late at night and I felt distressed and sick. Sounds like a typical Monday night. I should have just gone to bed straight away, but I couldn't help it. The leaker, I thought, staring at my computer screen. They're somewhere out there. The person who did this is somewhere out there. The same urge I had at work to open the Turner browser and search for the material resurfaced. Before I could resist it, I had a new thought. What if I could find out who it was that posted the leaks on the dark web? If it was posted on some forums, I'd look up the user and see what I could find. It was perfectly justified, in a sense. I convinced myself this was a good enough reason to look for the leaks, and I did. For the next hour or so, I combed the sites I knew of in the dark web for signs of the Daikon Industries leak. Forums, databases, 5net, and other anonymous boards. I searched it all, skimming through dozens of topics and threads. Nothing was to be found. Not even a word of a Daikon Industries product. Like it hadn't happened at all. My boss had said his clients did their best to wipe any traces of the leak off the internet. Or perhaps I came across the leak and just didn't recognize it. Leaks of such kind weren't unheard of in the dark web, but if it was just a product without any of our encryption, how would I even know? I had no idea what the product was to begin with. It seemed like my search was doomed from the start. I won't find any leads this way, I reflected. I sighed and got up from my chair. As I prepared to go to bed, I found myself wondering what kind of people the clients of my boss were. My first thought of the day when I woke up was quitting my job. Yeah, I don't think that's really a good option. I hope we find out later in the story what the product is. It's probably going to be something awful. Maybe that would be easier. The mess may have been too great to resolve anyway. I groaned as I got out of bed and started putting on my clothes. Quitting is a huge risk, I thought. There's a chance I won't find another job in time to pay the bills. Not to mention no company in their right mind would hire me, but I would make sure of that if I ditched them. I fixed my tie hastily and had a shot of coffee and ran out the door. Besides, I had a personal stake in this. I was in charge of security that was compromised. I had to find out who it was and how it happened. My pride as a security-er depends on it. Many of the people in the office had brought their coat and umbrellas with them, as last night's forecast warned of rain. I glanced at everyone around me as I walked towards the coffee machine we had on the counter. Today seemed like a different day. Everyone was on edge. As I turned on the machine for my customary second coffee of the day, I overheard some fellow coders talking about the new happenings, voices all hushed and secretive. That caught my attention. Then there was the janitor, Andre, nearby. He was talking on the phone, so I focused my eyes on the machine that was making my coffee and pretended to mind my own business. Let him come live in Sharpton, I heard Andre say in his foreign accent. Downtown is no place for him. Downtown, the cesspit of Tri-State, a side of the city where sin and violence reigned in supreme, I had no love for that place. In fact, I avoided it wherever I could, as did any sensible citizen. We're definitely going to go there later. Yes, things have changed now. This I promise, Andre said. I'm the janitor now. I couldn't catch the rest of the conversation as more and more people walked in, waiting their turn behind me on the coffee machine. Once my coffee was ready, I started heading for the cubicles, but I was stopped by the very man I was listening in on a few seconds ago. Hey, stop eavesdropping on me. Ah, hello? Good morning, I croaked. You stay in office until late sometimes. Do you stay tonight? It was true that I did stay late sometimes, and usually Andre was the only person I ever saw in the building at those hours. Why are you asking? I inquired. I guess Andre was a bit uncomfortable, although he didn't show it. You know that security was compromised, he asked me. I stared at him in surprise. How do you know this? The janitor of all people. I thought, if he knows, everybody knows. He smiled and said, it is no secret. I asked because I want no trouble, so I want you to stay overtime together. Alright. Word must have gotten out if stuff was posted online, I reflected. Nothing my boss or I could do about that. I was thinking this at the same time I was trying to understand what Andre was saying. Or he's the leaker! After a few moments, I said, you want me to stay with you so you don't remain alone in the building? Yes, he said, still smiling. Polite. Yes. Andre was one of the people that had keys to the building. Often, he was the first one to arrive to open the doors in the morning. Often, he was the last to leave, locking them at night. No problem, I said. I'll stay late tonight. Talk to you later. Okay, thank you, Ian. As soon as I turned to head for my desk, I started to process all the new information. Things have changed. That's what I heard him say on the phone. And now he wanted to do overtime only with me to cover his rear. If he had a hand in the leak, would he not have quit the job already? But wouldn't that be suspicious? He'd be hounded by Daikon, so instead of quitting, he'd just lay low and cover his tracks, like he does now. Or he is the leaker and he knows you're the leaker, so he's gonna stab you. Andre had a certain quality about him that distinguished him from other janitors that I'd seen. Sweeping floors, polishing door handles, and cleaning air vents was his job. It was a job that anyone could do, yet he did it with an expertise and vigor that stood out in an odd way to me. I'll have to keep an eye on him. It was raining steadily outside, even though the sky was not cloudy. I began walking to my cubicle, one hand in my pocket, the other carrying my coffee and briefcase. Passing by Mike's desk, I saw him hunched over his keyboard, eyes glued on screen. So tired of these fake influencers on Life Review. We get it, you have 200 followers. Whoop-de. Ian, you didn't hear what I just... Never mind. Why didn't you tell me anything? He knows. About the leak? I inquired, keeping my cool. No, about the new anime. Why does the dub suck? Yeah, no, about the leak. Yeah, there were rumors. I nodded. I know. I lowered my voice so only he could hear me. I didn't tell you because boss told me not to tell anybody. He had no choice. It's delicate. You understand? When you put it like that, he murmured. I thought he sounded somewhat nervous. It seemed like he wanted to say something else on the subject, but never got the chance, as Ken popped out of nowhere. This guy. So yeah, I guess the whole keeping it secret, because if I remember, the boss wanted us not to tell anyone. That did not last long at all. You all heard? The company's product was leaked online. Yeah, you bet we heard. Everyone and their mother knows by now. I wouldn't be surprised if Daikon's a laughingstock by now, I sighed. Don't count on it. Post of the leak got taken down pretty quick. Not many people other than us are up to speed about what's up. Still, Daikon stock dropped by 11% last night. That's a pretty rough dip. How the hell did this happen? We're what, 40 people working on this dang encryption and we still got hacked? Maybe if you had 41, you wouldn't get hacked. I have a little sister who's not good at coding, but she'll bring happiness to the office. I shrugged, wishing Ken would keep his voice down. I kind of hoped he wasn't smart enough to figure out that, since we worked on a closed circuit, the leaker was most certainly one of us. It could even be him, and he was playing dumb now to throw us off. Either way, it was only a matter of time till the people in the office wised up and realized that the leaker was among us. Among us! My father knows about this. We ever find out who hacked us, our firm is going to sue them out of existence. I'd sure like to see that, I mumbled as Ken began to walk away. Anyway, I gotta go, Mike said. Have to see what we can do to contain this dumpster fire. I need to spout my garbage opinions on random websites, too. When I returned back to my office desk, I resolved to put my coding work aside and do some digging around. Nobody was looking at me. The people at the office were busy with their work, or just slacking off chatting with each other idly. Fine by me. The realization that everyone in this office was a potential suspect hit me slowly. Everyone, without exceptions. Mike was one of the prime suspects. He was without a doubt one of our best coders, if not the best. In the job interview with Daikon that got him hired, he hacked the company. He did it once. Why not do it again? Because that would be too suspicious. He did appear to want to douse the flames. Perhaps it wasn't him after all. The information about him that I currently possess was insufficient for me to make a fair call. Guess you have to hack his computer. Well, all the speculation wouldn't do much help. It was time to take action. With a rather heavy heart, I decided it was time to hack my... Dragonfire Studios, you can hire me as a writer now. My rate is $1,000 per word, but I guarantee you will get the best Sonic the Hedgehog x Full Metal Alchemist fanfiction you've ever seen. His full name is Mike Milan. Milan? I don't know, sorry. Born 16th of July 1991. He's been using his YouTube account for years now to comment on videos. He likes to get into arguments on the internet, it seems. One may call him a keyboard warrior, even. I refuse to call him that. He views songs and video clips from anime and similar media daily. He likes both popular shows that everybody knows of and rare ones that I've never heard of before. That is, so far, what I've come to learn about him through his work email, for which I have the password already. This helps us nothing. This does not help us at all. I'm willing to bet he's an otaku. Let's just say I know a thing or two about anime as well, so I'm able to spot an otaku in the wild. Moving on. He went to the Farborough College of Digital Engineering. Invite only. Top-notch education in our field and in general, in one of the better suburbs of the city. The college yearbook... I cannot speak. The college yearbook picture shows a Mike that has more pimples and longer hair than a present-day Mike. Had to admit it, it was fun seeing what he looked like back in his college days. He must have been the quiet frat bro that skipped all parties to study. If there were any parties in a college where everyone's a coder to begin with. Hey, there are coder parties, I will have you know. You just sit around a computer and code. It's a Godzilla rating. Oddly, I found myself relating to him because of those photos. It was now harder for me to see him in a negative light. To figure out if he was an only child, I did some digging through all the city's college records for the same year Mike went in, and also for the 5 years before and after he was done with his education. Now, that might seem like going too far with the detective work, but that didn't even nearly reach the full extent to which I was determined to go, in order to get some answers. Well, it was a total waste of time anyways. The name Milan never came up again on the search. He could be giving you guys a fake name. It is likely he really is an only child. Running his name on Google search, I discovered that he doesn't really use any social media, aside from YouTube, or so it seems, so there's no more source of information about him that I could find. Though he may have been using LiveView, since he mentioned it earlier, but no luck. He wasn't the type to plaster selfies on his profile wall all day long anyways, so he had no business in a site like that. I'm going to dig deeper online and see what I find. His work email's password doesn't work on his YouTube account, nor on his SourceBucket account. Obviously, he's using different passwords for all these different accounts. I wouldn't expect less from someone who went to the kind of college he did. Looks like a dead end. This is going to get spicy from here on out, because I'm going to try and brute force his password. Usually brute forcing means I'd have to try and guess what password someone may be using by combining keywords and numbers like the person's date of birth, favorite pet, childhood friend, and all that, or using such information to correctly answer a security question when trying to recover an account's password. Truly the oldest trick in the golden book of hacking. But I have a tool that does the lockpicking for me. What I have to do is dump the keywords in it and wait. I was about to say, I guarantee like programs exist like that online for real life hackers. I waited for half an hour, and the program was still running, computing advanced combinations of letters and numbers. The password results became increasingly complicated, and all inputs were rejected, one after another. Either I was missing vital keywords, I still did not know the name of his pets, if he ever had one, his family or friends, or he was one of those people that use a completely random string of letters, words, and numbers for passwords. A hallmark of a careful, seasoned hacker indeed. Brute forcing was a failure for the time being, but it was worth a try. Best thing to do now was to let the password cracking tool run in the background and move on to other things. More specifically, I required more keywords to go on. I had an idea. Time to bond with my bro. Let's go out for beers. I got up from my desk and headed for the elevator. There was a way to find out more precious keywords. In fact, it was possible for me to find out entire passwords Mike was using right away. I had to gain control of Mike's computer. Through the server room console on the 22nd floor, I had access to all the PCs in the building, and their operation logs. Being the master of the server sure had its advantages. This is how I'd gotten the password of his work email in the first place. If Mike had ever signed in, I'm not reading that. If Mike had ever signed into his personal email, the action would be cataloged, and his password would be in full view. Alright, I'll try reading it. 0 Jacusa Chua Apicola 537. Looking through those records took time, so I never pried on other computers for too long, as the console's logs were being watched by the higher echelons of the company, so to speak. Speaking of the higher echelons of the company, Hope from the accounting department entered the elevator and stared me down with an inquisitive gaze. She seemed like a delicate woman, judging by how well she was taking care of her appearance, her nails in particular, which weren't fake. I knew her to be meticulous in her job from the times I'd interact with her. Perhaps overly so, since she fussed about details that were of no concern to me, the most recent example being which place was the correct place to leave your umbrella after entering the office. I didn't know people cared about that. The right place for employees to put their umbrellas in was the lobby, near the secretary's counter, right next to the big sign that read Daikon Industries. Well, my umbrella was special, and its right place was under my desk. What a jerk. I wasn't certain why, but the thing that always stood out to me about her was the tattoo on her hand, a red heart caught in the middle of a spider's web. It's an Undertale reference. It was such a glaring contradiction with her usually rigid and professional persona. I could never imagine the Hope I personally knew ever getting this tattoo, or any tattoo for that matter. People who get that kind of tattoo often don't stop at one, and now I found myself wondering what other tattoos she had. As soon as she entered, she pressed a button for her floor, got the phone that was never far from her out of her pocket, and started fiddling with it. Her long, well-groomed red nails clicked on the screen as she tapped it deftly. "You're not going to the server room, are you?" she asked curtly, without raising her eyes from her phone screen. I hadn't even pressed the button yet, and she knew. The door closed, and the elevator began its ascent. "I am," I said. I'm certain I sounded more weary than I would like. "Don't bother," she said. "It's in lockdown." I frowned. They usually warned me of these things beforehand. Lockdown? How come I don't know anything about any lockdown? It's because maybe they don't trust you completely. "That truly is a mystery," she said slyly. "It's obviously because of the leak." I sighed and pressed the button of the 14th floor, where my office was, several times, like the elevator would take me back faster if I did. "Lockdown. What for, even?" I mumbled, making my irritation obvious. She put her phone away to look at me. The leak got management worried. Bauer is looking for every archive right now. So he's already doing what I was going there to do. "Neat," I said, somewhat serious, somewhat flippant, mostly flippant. Hope threw me a smirk as she stepped out of the elevator on the top floor, and with that she was off to her business. I had no choice but to head back to my desk. The trip to the server room would have to wait. Alright everyone, I think this is where I am going to leave off. I hope everyone enjoyed this part of the walkthrough. I had a real good time going through some more of Netghost. I'm really enjoying the visual novel. The characters are really interesting. I like the mystery it's setting up. So hopefully part 3 will be coming out sometime next week, if this part is uploaded when I think it's going to get uploaded. But thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said before, I'll leave the links to like their Kickstarter, webpage, a bunch of stuff in the description, so that you can get all the info and check out pretty much as much of this visual novel as you can if you're interested. And until the next video, see you guys.